A master builder, it all originated back in Europe, but it was basically somebody who was skilled at almost everything that went into construction. They could lay out a foundation, but they could also frame the cabinetry. They knew they were experts across the entire spectrum of construction, and it would take a lifetime to assemble that amount of knowledge to be truly a master builder. Now that all of the business processes and all of the knowledge is baked into a large language model, everybody who enters the construction industry from day one can be a master builder because they have access to the information that they need to be successful.
On this week's show, breaking ground one more time with Tooey Courtemanche from Procore.
Jeff, thank you so much for having me, man.
Oh, man, it is always fun to sit down with you. I have Tooey. We are live. I'm in a hotel room. I'm on the road. We're here to talk Groundbreak. How are you?
I just get so excited this time of the year. It's our Super Bowl, get a chance to kind of show off all the cool stuff we're doing, but also for me personally, it's just great to get a chance to reconnect with so many old friends and colleagues and just kind of see it all kind of come together. So very exciting time of year for us. And I'm doing great. I appreciate you asking. How are you doing, Jeff?
I'm doing wonderful. I am actually here at our Super Bowl. Those who know, I'm over here at Unbound, and I took some time to come up here because this is what I love about this industry and its evolution. We have Procore here, and I'm going to be at Groundbreak, so we get to have this conversation. Are you trying to reach the innovators and decision makers in construction technology? Then look no further than sponsoring the ConTech Crew. That's right, we're taking new advertisers. Email us at advertising@thecontechcrew.com to learn more.
It's also just something that we should point out, which is something I'm very grateful for, is the partnership that you are coming to Groundbreak, that we're able to be there. And, it's just a good reflection of the relationship you and I've been able to build over the years. And the fact that we are committed, not just to ourselves, but to the betterment of the industry.
And you said that before, and I was going to jump in with the Groundbreak thing. And it's the same thing here at Unbound. The thing about it that's so invigorating, and I may be jumping through the microphone because we get to meet with the people whose lives we're actually impacting. And I think we forget that sometimes. We're in the offices, we're behind the computers, we're doing this kind of stuff. And we get to see people who come in and they tell you this story about, a couple hours of their life being different and better, or a project outcome they didn't think they could see, or a problem they didn't see coming that they got to fix before it happened. And their energy, I feel that at Groundbreak. I'm excited. We're starting to feel that here at Unbound because we're back. So that's why we do this.
The greatest compliment I can hear is that when somebody walks up to me at Groundbreak and they're like, look, I'm a project manager. Prior to using Procore, I had to stay in the job site trailer every night till 7:30, double data entering, wrestling with software. Because of Procore, I'm able to get out of the job site trailer at 5:00 and get my kid's soccer game. To me, our vision is to improve the lives of everyone in construction. I don't think there's anything more impactful than giving people quality time with their family back, doing it in a way that is something that we're very proud of.
I fully agree with you. We're making it all safer. We're reducing waste. We're driving more of the valuable things. It's something I love to remind people is what gets me out of bed every day is that I get to get out of bed. And I say this a lot. I stole this from one of our good friends. I didn't worry about this bed in this hotel room falling through the floor last night. And that's because of construction. That's because of architecture. That's because of engineering, right? I worried about my day not falling through the floor. And we get that because these women and men go out and do the things they do. And we can just make it a little bit better, a little bit safer, a little more efficient than we've done our thing. Now,
yeah,
I know you're rolling into the year. What are you excited about at Groundbreak? You've always got a few nuggets for me. I'm better.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be, dripping as much as I want you to, but I'm going to try and pull it from you. What are you excited about?
By the way, I was told by our marketing team today that there is no holds barred. I can tell you whatever I want to tell you. So there's nothing off limits today.
So they got the check I sent them to make sure that it'll bounce, though. They can jump on it. Don't worry.
There are two letters that are changing the world right now. Let me explain it to you in case you missed it. Artificial intelligence and AI is what it's all about. Jeff, what's really cool about this moment in time is Procore's always been this, single code base, multi-tenant architecture, dedicated only to construction, assembling all of this data and really helping structure the way that construction gets delivered. And now we're in this era of generative AI where there's nothing more important than data, especially well-structured data, to power the AI engines of going forward. So what I'm so excited about is, prior to now, I've been able to stand up at Groundbreak and say, look, we're giving you all the tools you need to be successful in construction. But today, now with all the things that we're going to be announcing at Groundbreak, I think I'm going to be able to say, look, we're giving you a partner that's going to help accelerate your ability to be productive as a person that's, in the trades. And we're making it so that you can actually focus on what you got into the trades for while you have these agents running in the background, doing the hard work and then alerting you to what needs to get done, or in some cases, just taking actions on your behalf. I think that is one of those things that I cannot overstate the impact that it's going to have on the industry. It's all AI. It's all about how we're empowering our users with AI. And also just about, we're on the same journey everyone else is on, right? Where, generative AI, really came to the forefront with ChatGPT. And that's when we all kind of like woke up. It's been a journey.
It's a journey, but it's a valuable one to talk about because something that Procore has had at its core, right, has been driving the adoption and, structured data, just like you said. But to me, one of the biggest values is the completeness of that data, is having all of that. And if you had said 25 years ago, this was going to happen, you'd have probably said, yeah, whatever. And we've been talking about data as gold for a long time around analytics and maybe predictive analytics. None of us knew this new world was going to come and that there was going to be all this valuable automation. And I think it's key for people to understand that, like, we're not talking about it thinking for you, right? I think there's a lot of those misnomers out there, and it's like, I don't want you too far on either side. It's like life, right? It's made in the middle, and you need those valuable amounts of data, and it's not here to replace your job, but there are a number of data duplication tasks that we do as part of the process flow. We used to say this: map the process out, A, B, C, D, E, right? And then figure out when you can jump maybe one or two. This new agentic and generative AI can allow us to jump from A to decision point M to decide, are we going back to the beginning to rethink this? And we can rethink it faster, better. Or, hey, no, this is the right decision. We can move forward. And hey, by the way, you can stay on the tools longer. You can do the things longer, but we will alert you when these things happen and when you need to know about it. And I don't think we could have predicted that, but you guys have got to feel great about just the fact that you had that rigor without it. That rigor paid off in probably a way you didn't even see coming.
Something's interesting about what you're saying is it's something I've observed recently with our customers. Historically, one of our customers trying to get their employees, the boots on the ground, to really care about the quality and the fidelity of the data that they're capturing as part of their job has always been a little esoteric for the people in the field. They're like, oh yeah, my boss wants to be able to run an analytics report to see, what the unbilled change orders are, or whatever. I'll get to that later. What we're finding now, though, is because the agents, and we have a new product that is so freaking awesome called Agent Builder. But what this does is allows our customers to actually build agents, right? So we've been having these hackathons, and our customers will come in and they'll build the most unique and awesome agents that really help them kind of eliminate the most pedantic work that they have to do every day. But what's interesting is these are the field workers, right? So if they're going to put it together a scheduling agent that's going to look for anomalies in a schedule over time to help you avoid issues long before they become issues. Now, in order for that tool that they just built to work, they have to ensure the data is accurate, which I think is going to have a force multiplier to really make data something less of what management's telling me I need to focus on, and much more about, if I'm going to be effective at my job and I'm going to have these agents doing the work, I have to enforce strong processes around how I capture and store the data for our projects.
You nailed it, because it was a little bit esoteric, and we were trying to do things, with the field to get them to understand, like, this is how we make business decisions so that we know where our cash flow is and we can make sure those paychecks get paid, etc. But it always did feel like a burden. And, you're right. Now the person you help with great data is yourself. And I love the hackathon idea from the field because we've always felt like we know, but we don't know each one of our individual customers at the level that they know themselves, right? We knew an industry, we knew a vertical, we knew certain things, and we could do our best at it, and we could do a lot of due diligence. But this allows, with the agent builder, which, by the way, I'm going to want to dive into this. I'm going to want to play with this because this, to me, this is the future of like, I can hackathon my life and in a way that fits what I do. I'm comfortable in my process. We've heard this and we've tried to tell the industry that you're all not snowflakes, but we'll be honest, you're a little bit snowflakes. And there's a few things that each of you do that do distinguish you from your competitors or with your, trade contractors and partners. Your owners are changing. So this allows you to adapt and still have that fidelity. So if I'm imagining this right, I'm one company, but I can use different agents because I'm working on hyperscalers here. So my agents are going to look for different things. I'm working on laboratory sciences over here. I'm looking on commercial over here. I don't have to use the same agents. I get this flexibility.
No, you'll get the total flexibility to, kind of roll your own, which is kind of, it's fun. So you're 100% right too. We realized early on that, I think Procore pretty much understands the challenges and the complexities of the people that we serve every single day, but we certainly don't sit in their shoes, right? And so what we found during the hackathon is everyone, to your point, has their own set of challenges that they're trying to solve for. Now, and they all may be a little different than each other, but frankly, like, here's a great example. This one just blew my mind because I've been hearing for years from executives at construction companies that one of the biggest things that they worry about is incomplete daily reporting from the field. In case they end up in litigation, they need to be able to protect themselves. And so a lot of times I'd hear from executives like, man, I got to go log into Procore and jump around every project every day to make sure people are filling out their daily logs. So one of the people in the hackathon was like, I'm just going to build an agent that's going to monitor daily logs and tell me the exception and say, call, project manager so-and-so because they haven't filled out their daily log yet. That kind of thing, like, we understand, but I don't think we would have come up with it. And the fact that it's going to save this person hours a week of their time is just mind blowing. And it's so simple, right? But the one thing you and I both know, Jeff, is the complexity of the world that our customers live in every single day is kind of immeasurable. It's the amount of risk, the amount of challenges, the amount of fact that everybody's in a prototype business. Very little production happens in construction. There are an endless number of things that can go wrong. And when you're running, if you're a general contractor, if you're running a 3, 4, 5% gross margin business, one mistake can put you at, risk for the entire company. So having these agents that you've built up that are basically 24/7 monitoring all of the things that are happening on the job site and then alerting you is just, it's a step function in the way that people are going to use technology.
It's really opening for me because that's been a conversation we've been having for a really long time about, listen, Jeff, it's one job out of the hundreds of jobs. And so we were always looking at these macro levels and trying to do those things, but these agents are going to now allow us to, I don't want to call it step it down like it's down a ladder, but get it to the ground. So if each group is using these types of things to look for the risk and the uncertainty and focus on the work, we're going to be able to focus on delivering far better products. And I think in the end, projects that make for happier owners that maybe increase those margins too. There's also a time and a place where I think you'll have enough data and enough ability and time to look for, dare I say, a place that you're more profitable, true partnerships where it's working better for you, customers that are your premier customers, and really focus on delivering for them. And also, I can imagine an agent that's like, listen, I'm the foreman and I'm doing work, and Tooey, you're always calling me and you want the same dang thing. You know what? I'm going to build an agent that's going to send it to you. And if you want to check your email for it, or you want to get it on a text message, or however it's going to work, you get it. And I'm going to focus on what I need to do over here on, are my materials getting in? Is the laydown right? Are the crews working? Is everybody, on schedule so I can avoid trade stacking? Those things that are really really hampering the industry right now. So, man, I love it.
By the way, we always say that like when we're successful in the job, two things happen. One is the software disappears into the background. It's like when you wake up in the morning, you don't think about Gmail or Outlook. That's just the way you work. And so there's that. The other thing is, if we're really successful at delivering the solutions that we need to deliver, the folks that are, the users of our software should be freed up to actually walk outside of the job site trailer and actually build, which is what they got into the industry for in the first place, as opposed to wrestling with a computer. And I think both those things are true when we successfully deliver solutions.
Even though we can do a lot of that, we can make the time on the computer more valuable and easier. And I think that's sort of this power as well, because you said it, they didn't get into this business to, do paperwork. They got into this business to build the world around us. And that's what drives them. I mean, stop any one of them and ask for a story and you'll hear amazing things. And sorry to Bluebeam and to Procore and to everybody out there, it's not going to be about you. It's going to be about the building, the bridge, the incredible, power plant or wastewater treatment plant, those things that, are delivering such valuable services to everybody and, at scale. What else you got up your sleeve there? I mean, I'm sure you got another nugget for me.
Oh yeah, no, we do. So Agent Builder is really, premier. It's great. We also have a tool called Developer Studio. We call it Dev Studio, which allows you to not only manage your agents, but also allows you to connect Procore to all of the systems that you use every single day. So basically, we've come to the realization long ago that Procore is an amazing platform, but we're not the only platform. And so in order for us to make our customers successful, we have to be able to incorporate our data with their other systems and then their other systems data with our data. So Dev Studio, I think, is going to be a force multiplier because it's going to get people to stop thinking about just project controls and think about how are they running their business, which I think is really going to be transformative. So that's definitely another one. And have a couple more.
That one's we're going to sit on that sucker for a second because we have always been two businesses in this industry. We have been project controls and we have been business controls, so to speak. And to bridge that gap is a powerful way, especially in these, changing times. It seems like feast everywhere. It's really not. We can get into that, but this allows people to connect systems. It's one of the reasons I think we've always gotten along and connected. It's why I'm where I'm at. There is no one ring to rule them all. Microsoft and Google figured that out a long time ago. Others should figure that out. We have to be better partners. Now, I'll go to some of our other friends. We should fight it out when it's competition, right? But in a way that makes sense to us and our customers. Iron sharpens iron, but it's not to win. It's to all be better and work together. Because that's ultimately right. If they win, we win. I think there's this missing piece that like, hey, if you love our stuff and all the stuff out there, including connecting to your businesses, you're going to use more and more of it. You're going to want more and more of it. And that's what we want. So I love that approach, but I'm excited to see this Dev Studio. What kind of people are going to be in there? You're looking at your agents, you're looking at data access to other places. What's that going to look like?
We envision that with Dev Studio, that this is going to be a more kind of a higher technical calling. So it would be somebody in the corporate headquarters that's trying to tie systems together. Or in many cases, it could be, Deloitte or Whitfley or AWS or any one of our partners that's coming in and helping people understand what questions they should be asking of their disparate data systems. And, even Sage in some cases. So yeah, I mean, we have lots and lots of partners that are going to help us with this. And then of course we're going to be here for our customers to help them along the way.
Empowering those that empower us. That's awesome. We need those people that come in and look at our businesses that way and tie those things together at that higher level. And that's the scale we want. And we're seeing in construction now consistently. So I love that. I'm going to be busy when I'm at Groundbreak. Yes, I will be there, folks. By the way, I'm not letting another Groundbreak go. I will be there. Maybe even have some Legos, just a little teaser out there if you're listening. Because I'm into those these days. What else do you got?
Yeah, I want to point out something that's really, I think, kind of interesting is that one of the things that we're seeing outside of AI that is really defining the difference between what a highly successful company does and what a moderately successful company, customer of ours, does is codifying their business processes. And as you know, in the days of AI and all this agentic revolution, if your business processes are not well defined, you can't put agents to work because then there's no structure to tie them to, right? So what we're seeing is that there's a lot of focus these days all around the globe of our customers really double downing on looking at their current business processes, their standard operating procedures, codifying them, training their people to them, holding their people accountable to them to ensure they have consistency across the board. And we have tools like Action Plans, which is a really cool tool built into Procore, which essentially lets you codify your standard operating procedures. So like if you're going to do a waterproofing detail or whatever, it basically comes in and here's the checklist of things that have to happen before you can sign off on it. Here's what you can do before you pour concrete. But it's all the company's way of doing that particular process. So I think that kind of a trend, which we're seeing a lot of, coupled with the fact that AI is kind of eating the world, is going to be a step function in companies' abilities to not only manage risk, but to optimize opportunities as well. And it's really exciting.
It is exciting because, but it's also a reminder. And I think this is something that it's been rough in ConTech for a long time, that we want it to solve our problems. It doesn't solve our problems. That's why we're so valuable as the individuals in the businesses that are doing the work, that understand how it's delivered, whether it's water detailing, waterproofing details, whether it's framing and drywall, whether it's, different runs for electricals, etc. Understanding your processes and mapping them out. And just like the agents are giving foremen and supers and PMs a reason to want to be better at the tool, this is giving businesses a reason to need to be better at the business, at the process itself, and understanding it. And I'll be honest, that's been lacking, not everywhere, but a lot of places, and a standardization around it. So to give it an ability to have a place to then, that was the other thing, right? You built a standing operating procedure and then you put it in a binder. If you were lucky, you put it somewhere on a drive somewhere. So this is now, you do the work and you get it to the people and you deliver it where you want them to have it. Now they use it. Now it's all valuable to everybody. So we're seeing that process mapping really, it's been pretty consistent, but we haven't seen enough people do it. So I love to see you guys give it an ability there.
Well, one of the things that I think we all can see is that, when I started Procore, there were the project managers that we would talk to who literally had assembled a lifetime's worth of experience in their head. And they were the kind of the cowboys on the job, right? They would, it didn't matter what the standard operating procedure was for the company that they worked for. They were going to run that building the way that they knew how to run buildings. And it would, so each one of those projects with different project managers would have this like unique way of working. And so but I would say today we're now in the era where the hero, the cowboy, the maverick isn't going to be successful because you unless you work within the framework of the tools that you're given, you're not going to be able to leverage them, and you're not going to be successful. So I think it's a whole new era of that. The other byproduct of all of this stuff, Jeff, that I just love is one of the biggest challenges that most of our customers tell us they have is that their most senior people are aging out. They're retiring, right? And they're having a hard time getting younger people to join the industry. But when they do get young people to join the industry, these folks don't know anything about construction. And so, in some cases, our customers will pay the retirees to come in and teach the younger folks how to do waterproofing details and how to do, the things that are, they need to know. I think with this era of AI, that knowledge is going to be institutionalized. So therefore it will be at everyone's fingertips. And actually, a friend of mine, John Fish, who runs Suffolk Construction. I don't know if you know John. He and I had lunch in Boston recently, and he and I had this amazing conversation. Which, by the way, I think is something that I'm going to do. I'm going to write a long form article with him on. But essentially, you know the concept of a master builder back in the day. So for those of you who maybe are not familiar, so a master builder, it all originated back in Europe, but it was basically somebody who was a skilled at almost everything that went into construction. They could lay out a foundation, but they could also frame the cabinetry. They were experts across the entire spectrum of construction. And it would take a lifetime to assemble that amount of knowledge to be truly a master builder. And as John and I were talking about that, John's like, look, Tooey, now that all of the business processes and all of the knowledge is baked into a large language model, everybody who enters the construction industry from day one can be a master builder because they have access to the information that they need to be successful. And I think it's kind of an interesting concept. I just think it's interesting that we're in an era where now everybody has the capability to be a master builder.
So I'm going to take an homage to Josh Bone, who's original on the show, on the democratization of the information and needing to codify that into the software that we're building. And I never knew how we were going to do it. And I think now you're right. We have that capability. And I think bringing those folks, by the way, extending their careers, a lot of them end their careers earlier than they might want to because of the nature of what has been the beast. And the beast can now change, and we've always needed to do this. We need a one-to-many, right? Because we jumped a generation, and we're going to have a whole new generation coming in that needs this and needs to be able to get access to it. But then we need that knowledge to help guide them so they can truly be that idea of the master builder. And you had to think the master builder went away because of the complexity that was beginning and happening over time on the buildings and the types of projects. But now we're able to consume that amount and break it down and work with it better. Now, and that next generation, they're going to need this. They're going to need the guidance and that wisdom to be built into it. And so you're thinking that this is a way towards that. I'd love to have John, by the way, John, if you're listening, you got an invite to come on and talk about it here anytime you want. It would be great because we need that.
He's a wealth of knowledge. And by the way, he is investing so heavily in AI internally, hiring engineers and running, big projects. And he's got such a firm grasp on where this industry is going. And it's just, he's a great visionary.
And that's what we need in the industry, right? We need visionaries on all sides to sort of guide each other down the path. Cause you got to come back to it. There is a boom in so many areas, but we're also seeing some tough times in a lot of places right now. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on where we are right now as an industry.
If you remove all the excitement around AI and data, I would say we're not in a great place, right? The industry is still highly complex. The labor shortage is as acute as ever before. No matter how many things we try to do, it's just hard. Best people are aging out or retiring, so it's challenging. So, but the one thing I know about the construction industry is it's probably the most resilient industry because it has to deal with with the highest amounts of risk all the time. So I have a lot of confidence that the tailwinds that we're seeing. I mean, yeah, it's tough, but there are certain sectors, as you know, data center is a great one, where it's just, off the charts. But then, of course, multifamily struggling. There's a bunch of different areas within the industry itself, sectors that are struggling as well. But in general, I remain highly optimistic because number one, the people that I get to talk to every single day give me confidence that we're going in the right direction. And number two is we're in this inflection point where we're being given the tools where we can actually help enable the industry to be more successful and do more with less.
I have heard people say that consistently, and I've not jumped on, and I'm starting to put my foot on and get on the bandwagon that we are at that inflection point We
Yeah.
I've been calling for it and listening to people, and I've heard it said a few times. This is the inflection point. This is the inflection point. But not before have I said, you know what? I think we are arriving there. And the AI hype cycles coming, and we're coming back out of that trough of disillusionment. And we're starting to see things that really add up. Thankfully, hopefully I gave you guys some time to get your data together. If you didn't, get your data in order, please, because it's the fuel. We need it. We've always said that. But I'm with you. I think it is time that this inflection point is happening, given all of those pressures that you're seeing, and the push towards innovation and the tools reaching their potential to help the industry reach its true potential of delivering even more incredible projects than we've seen before. Now, the industry's reaching there, but Procore and you are reaching an inflection point as well. And you are welcome on the show anytime, and I'm excited, but there's some change going on at Procore. And I kind of wanted to lean into asking you about your predictions for the future of Procore. And for those who don't know, you have a new CEO that's going to be taking the reins here in November. And his CEO is Ajay Gopal. You've selected him yourself along with the team. Talk to me about what you see in the future of Procore under Ajay's leadership.
Well, let me just tell you quick about the journey we've been on and why it's so important that Ajay starts now and is able to usher us into the next phase. But I've always thought of Procore as being the system of record which is shared across all party members in construction. And it's been a great tool to log things in and to, run reports in and everything else. But one of the things that I always wanted to have happen at Procore was I wanted to make the data the highest value asset and not the way that we push RFIs through workflows, for instance, or whatever. So, and by the way, in the early days, that was really important. That's how we kind of won the US industry, was we did it better than most. But if we needed to get to the point where we could actually make data the star of the show, right? So we've been spending the last 5-6 years making that happen, delivering really, really high quality analytics, early forays into AI, basically just allowing our customers to utilize the system's data to do things. Here we find ourselves at this moment of this inflection point where now we actually have these like kind of endlessly powerful tools that can help us not only identify issues on jobs, but also then help rectify them either automatically or through the help of a human in the loop. So we're at this really interesting inflection point after 25 years of like, okay, I think we've got the foundation set. Business processes are all documented pretty well. We pretty much know how everything works. We've got a good data set on our hands. All we have is we have a single code base. So we actually have all this data, not only your company's data, but everybody else's data. So now the question is, where do we go from here? And that's why when I started thinking about what I was going to do in this next chapter and thinking that I really, really wanted to be in a role where I could spend way more time with industry thought leaders, professionals, folks like John Fish and all my other friends out there, and to be able to work on industry advancement, being able to help focus some of my personal philanthropy on bringing more people into this industry, and also just doing more with our employees and events, like being able to get out and do this. So I'm setting myself up for applying myself where I feel like I have the most value that I can add, and bringing in somebody like Ajay, he is such a strong operator. Like it's almost, I couldn't have dreamt for anything more. But the thing that matters most in this whole process, because I met lots of strong operators, right? This is a great job. A lot of people wanted it, was Ajay's character. He would always start with the people and the customers. He wouldn't start with the balance sheet or the technology. He started with, our employees and the customers, and making sure that we have the foundations in place to put our priorities where we need to put our priorities. And I just felt like that level of character was really, really important. So I'm very confident Ajay's going to do an amazing job. I'm going to support the hell out of him through this whole process. And I think, I think it's going to be an exciting next chapter for Procore as he launches us into the future.
We covered him last week, and Jonathan and I, surprised you, but Jonathan and I, Marsh and I, had a good discussion about it because we think seeing his history and seeing some of that, but also digging in that he talks a lot about that character. It's pretty evident in researching him, which is really cool to see because, like you said, a lot of people can execute, and that can be not so fun. To have someone that comes in with that character, the empathy, the understanding for customers, and for what I think, it's that whole thing. If we focus heavily on our employees and we get our employees to put our customers first, then we did it right. We put our employees, put customers first, everybody wins. And then you can grow. And I'm going to be excited to interview him and see him later and meet him down the road. But I also want to thank you for not leaving and for really keeping that focus, Tooey. You've been a really positive anchor in this industry around culture and change and evolution, but also about focusing on people, on focusing on the value of the industry and bringing those philanthropies and bringing those new people into the industry. You've made it possible for a lot of us as our careers outside of your own company to be successful and to gravitate you're doing. So I appreciate that you're going to be here. When I saw it at first, I was like, tell me what he's going to do. Okay. All right. I'm going to get him on. I'm going to ask him those questions. So I'm excited for those things for you. I do think freeing yourself and knowing that you can support the hell out of them, but you can let it go a little and go to what you want to continue to focus on.
I envision there's going to be a Tuesday when I wake up and I have no email. And I'm like, for 25 years, that's never happened. So it's going to take a little getting used to, but no, you're right. I'm going to be focusing on where my strengths are and where my passion is. That's not going to end at all. I actually think the 1 + 1 = 10 here with me plus Ajay in his leadership role. I'm very, very pumped.
Well, I hope someday you do wake up and there's no email and no fires, sit on the back deck for a second, take in the atmosphere and get inspired for the next thing. That's where great stuff happens. So hopefully we get to see you there, and I get to see you in a few weeks. So
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be great.
So am I. It's one of my favorites of the year. I'm hoping we over here at Unbound catch you, but it's where the fire catches. It is the biggest event of the year for me, and where all those people come together. I'm going to be there with the team. I'm going to be there presenting in the front row, taking all your pictures again, but also at the Bluebeam booth, because like you said, man, we're partners, and this is an awesome come to fruition, like full circle for me right now. So I'm excited.
Well, I look forward to seeing you in the front row. I look forward to seeing you on the floor when I come by Bluebeam and say hi to the team. I'm very grateful for you and the partnership, and, talking to you just gets me even more fired up about the future. So thank you very much.
And thank you. And Tooey, I could tell everybody where to go find you, but I think people know where to find you. And I hope they come to Groundbreak this year to celebrate, but also usher in this next chapter, because I really do think it's here.
It's going to be the best one yet, too. It's all really exciting.
We're excited. We will see you there. And thank you for tuning in today to geek out for our interview with Tooey Courtemanche. To read all our news stories, learn more about our guests, and to listen to the show, visit ConTechCrew.com. This is the ConTech Crew signing out. Until next time, enjoy the ride and geek out.